Hello and welcome to the Email Marketing Workshop. Thank you so much for joining me today. We have a lot to cover, but one thing that I want to make sure is happening correctly is that you can hear and see me. So if you happen to be dropping in, make sure to say hello in the chat. I'd love to say hi to you really quick. And if you do want to say hello and make sure other people see your comments as well, make sure it says to everybody, right? To everyone, not just to hosts and panelists. We got Sheepa in the house. What's up, Sheepa? Good to see you as well. Or Shilpa, Katie, great to see you from San Diego. Lynn, Deanna, Honey Smith, great. We have a lot of amazing people here, and we have, hundreds of people actually, which is cool. Kevin, what is up? I hope you're having a great start to the week. I know it's Monday, and we're talking about email. It's like, wow, first of all, it's Monday, and we're talking about email. How dry is this going to be? Well, I'm going to take something like email and make it exciting. I want to teach you something because the whole idea here is that right under our noses is this thing called email, that if we start utilizing it correctly, we can actually start to see some results. What does results look like? Result means growth in your email list. So we're going to cover both basic and advanced strategies for doing that today. Growth looks like revenue and income coming in from your email list. And I'm going to show you a email sequence that I use to generate over six figures in my business and the exact emails that we send out. And then finally, I'm going to give you a framework to help you understand how to actually approach email in a way that's going to make it of value to those who are on your email list. I think, again, a lot of us are on a lot of email lists, and a lot of us have received emails that just don't make us feel really great, and we don't want that to happen. Now, one thing I want to do is share my screen with you really quick, and I want to see if it works out the way I'm hoping it will. So if I press play here, are you seeing the full screen? Or are you seeing the screen and the next screen? So my vision shows me that you might be seeing full screen. So that is good. Okay, we are on our way. So thank you, chat. I appreciate you. And let's get started. So what you are seeing on the screen right now is actually interesting. This is a Wall Street Journal article. And I'm going to have a little game with you. I want you to tell me what year this was published. You can see that the title here is the hot new channel for reaching real people email. Give me a guess on what year this was published. Jay says 1978. We got 2021, 1999, 2022, 1978. That's still early, right? 2014, 1980. So we got a big range here. We have people who are doing this as soon as technology came out, and there's people who are sharing this as of more recent. Well, here's the date. It's January 19th, 2019. And some of you were around the right era. Others were kind of way off. And it's really interesting, right? Because email is not a new channel. It's been around for a very long time, as many of us know. However, it's new because a lot of what used to be working isn't working anymore. If you think about the 2010s, right? 2010 through 2015, a lot of what was working to help us reach our audience was social media. And I remember, let me know if you created your own Facebook page back when that was a thing, right? You'd create a Facebook landing page and you'd invite all these people over. You get so many fans to like your Facebook page. I know I spent a lot of time and effort doing that. And then all of a sudden one day, boom, Facebook was like, you know what? We're not going to promote pages anymore. It's all about groups and all these other things. And just like that, all that hard work and the 100,000 plus people who were fans of my Facebook page, they just were not going to see any of my posts anymore. And it felt like a waste. We see algorithm changes on platforms all the time, which is very disheartening, especially because a lot of us are pouring a lot of time and money into playing in other people's sandboxes, which is unfortunate. And I wanted to share with you a tweet, actually, which was also recent. This is from the founder of Basecamp. He said, email is the next big thing. We're finally realizing just how precious these open standards were all along. Open meaning, well, yes, you are competing against other emails that are in a person's inbox, but there's no algorithms. There's no sort of giant corporation that's saying, oh, these are the things we want to get through, and these are the things that we don't want to get through. Here's the founder of Shopify, Toby, who said, email lists and your website are the two only things you can own on the internet. Everything else is just rented, which is so true. It's also scary because maybe you've already felt a little bit of something in your gut or your throat with relation to all this work that you're putting into even YouTube or TikTok or Instagram. Like, what platform are you primarily posting on right now? I'd love to see in the chat where you are posting. But the truth is, we need to bring those people into our email list so that we can continue to have that controlled conversation. And the truth is, if something were to happen to one of those platforms, right? Sarah says Instagram, LinkedIn says Instill. The truth is, if something were to happen to those platforms, if you have those emails, well, at least you can move them to the next thing, right? And to the next thing. I remember in 2013, my website was hacked. I had what was called a DDoS attack, and my entire server was down for 2 weeks. But thankfully, I had an email list to not just tell people what was going on, but I was still able to provide value to them. And I was never totally upset because I always knew that, well, if my website and that particular server went down, I can always start somewhere else and be fine, or at least, not 100%, but at least I have this thing called email, which was sort of acting like insurance to me, right? Kim says Facebook. I'm on no social, says Patrick, wanting email to be my place. Nice, Patrick. Mostly IG, says Shilpa. So here's what we know. Like, we're talking about email now, right? Here's what we know. You need an email list. Let me know in the chat if you already have one. Give me a yes if you do. Give me a no if you don't. It's okay if you don't either, because we're going to get you started the right way. Here's the unknown. Well, how do we grow our email list, right? We're picking up strategies here and there about how to do this, but what grows our list, right? Number 2, how do we use the email list? This is also what's unknown more, because many people teach how to grow an email list. Not as many people teach you how to use it. And number 3, how do we automate the email list? And by automate, I mean, how do we kind of set things up in a way where, okay, they're working now, and then we can kind of remove ourselves from that. Never forever, right? I think upkeep is important, but we can set up these systems of emails in place so that a person can come in as a subscriber and get certain messages automatically sent to them. They can get certain pitches automatically sent to them. We can do some customer discovery automatically as a result of that as well. So here's the plan for today. We're just going to dive right in. I go on webinars a lot, and I find that if a person's telling their life story for the first 15 minutes, I'm kind of already tuned out, right? And you may or may not know who I am. My name's Pat Flynn. I have a brand at Smart Passive Income. I help entrepreneurs like you succeed, and I take these very difficult topics, sometimes very dry topics like email, and I don't just make them like fun. I'm not here to just be like the hype up guy, like email, let's go, it's so fun. I actually make it easy for you to do. And so we're going to talk about these things today. We're going to uncover the plan right now. First, we're going to talk about 2 strategies to grow your list. We're going to talk about a beginner strategy, something very simple. If you're an advanced person already, this might be a great reminder for you to do something that was once working for you before. And then we have an advanced strategy as well, that if you're a beginner, you can lead up to it. Or if you are advanced, perhaps you're not doing it and you can think of a campaign that you can do. The difference between beginner and advanced is really just, actually, it's just a little bit of extra time to put into something, and a little bit more complicated, but I'm going to share with you both of those things. Next, 2 powerful ways to use your list. So now that we've grown our list or are growing our list, how do we use that list? Again, we're going to uncover a beginner way to use the list, something that's actually going to be probably one of the most helpful things you could ever do with an email list, especially if you're just starting out and you're not quite sure what direction to go or even what to sell. These beginner strategies are going to help you understand, with the first few subscribers that you have, how to do that. And then secondly, I want to take you into a 6-figure, more advanced email sequence. Here's what it is. It's a 5-day promotional sequence using email and what goes in each of those emails. That's where I'm going to invite you to take a screenshot. I will send you a replay after this is over, but this is where you can kind of literally copy and paste the structure and use it for yourself. And then finally, a framework about approaching email so that everything just becomes a lot easier. Everything from getting higher open rates, higher click-through rates, the language to use, how to automate it a little bit better. So that's what we're going to start with, right? So let me know in the chat if you are ready to move on, because we're just diving right in. Give me a yes in your favorite language, and then we'll go from there. So let me do a little stretch. Okay. Yappers? Somebody said yappers. Okay, so most of us know English. I see a we, I see a Yahoo or Wahoo. Okay, cool. So if you're a beginner, cool. This will help you right from the start. If you're advanced, again, sometimes going back to the basics, it's where it's at. So let me tell you the secret to email. The secret to email is nobody wants more emails. I don't know anybody who wakes up in the morning and says, I want more emails. What people want is not the email that gets put into their inbox. It's a very important thing to recognize. What they want is the results that the email will give them, especially if they are subscribed to you. They don't want to get more emails from you. They want more of what you can offer, and they want transformation. They want some promise that you've offered them, and they want to know what's on the other end, right? So here's the solution that can also help incentivize people to grow or to get put onto your list, right? Not just the here's what you get in the emails, right? Many of us do join our exclusive newsletter for tips that you'll never get anywhere else. Cool, but the newsletter comes every once in a while. What's going to help me right now? The solution is to offer a lead magnet. Now, during this particular promotion, I offered a lead magnet. and it was a lead magnet to help you with email. 10 different emails that you can write that can help you understand more about who your audience is and to help fill in the gaps of, well, what do I communicate with them after they subscribe on a list? I gave you that up front, and I recommend that you create a lead magnet for your audience as well. If you're not sure where to start, pick one simple thing and create a document about that. It could be a document, a video, or some sort of piece of content that they immediately get in exchange for coming onto your email list. Well, there's some nuances that need to be said about this. This is a version of the lead magnet that you got before coming into this workshop called eBooks the Smart Way. Or actually, no, I gave you Email the Smart Way. This is eBooks the Smart Way. There's one big problem with this lead magnet. This was a book that was created to teach people how I wrote an ebook, because that was the first thing I created. Can anybody see what the problem is with this particular lead magnet? It's right there. It might be a little bit hidden, but there's a problem with offering a guide like this away for free. Deanna says no CTA. Biggie got it right off the bat. No CTA. That's a good call, and as far as no CTA, like what's the call to action? But here is the problem. So this is the book that you get once you kind of subscribe. The fact is, it is 72 pages long. This book worked in 2009 and 2010 and 2011, but it will not work today because nobody wants no beard. Nice, Ansel. No beard. That is a problem as well. I've had this thing for 2.5 years now, and I'm just now understanding this is now a part of who I am. But thank you for that. That made me laugh. People don't have the time to read 72 pages. So maybe this does incentivize a person to join your email list, but even then, it's going to take 72 pages until they get the result. Not okay. Too long. Back in the early 2000s, there wasn't a lot of information available. Therefore, the more information, the better. Keep this in mind when you're creating courses or writing your emails as well. Back in the day, more content equals more value. Today, more content equals less value because it takes more time. Time is becoming more and more valuable in a human's life today, it seems, because of everything that is available to us already. So how might we get a person a result much faster, right? That is what is going to be most valuable. If you call somebody for a tire change, right? You hit a nail on the side of the road and you're safely on the side, but you call somebody to change your tire for you because you don't know how to do it yourself or there's some issue. Is it more value if they can come in and do it for 5 hours, or more value if they can come in and do it in 10 minutes? 10 minutes, obviously. Yet, for whatever reason, a lot of us in this space as entrepreneurs go, oh, okay, it takes this long, therefore we need to get paid for that much time. This was similar to more content equals more valuable. More content equals I could charge more. No, people want the result faster, right? Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Yatun. So here's a list of the different kinds of lead magnets that you could offer that I want you to imagine simply putting together, right? You can make these as complicated and as long, or as short and as simple as you want, but the end result being the transformation or the guidance in their hands or the thing delivered to their email after they subscribe that gets them the promise faster, the better. So a resource or a tool list, a quick start guide. This is a great one, especially if there are certain tools that your audience needs to use in order to get a result. A cheat sheet. We do this on the podcasting front, a podcasting cheat sheet, right? Podcasting sounds very complicated. It is a very complicated thing. But if I can offer a cheat sheet, which is literally a couple pages of A to Z, everything that needs to happen, well, it's going to be of massive value. The cool thing about a cheat sheet and a checklist like that, which is next, is that people see the checklist and now they go, how do I mark those things off? Teach me. What do I need to do to fill in this entire checklist? And that's when they start getting value from you in your further emails or going onto your website or listening to certain podcasts that help fill in those gaps for them. Will I share the slides after? Sure, I can do that. I'll share a link to the slides and a replay after this thing is over for you and after the recording process is processed, right? Shirley says, this reminds me of never mind the quality, feel the width. I like that. Number 5, a mini email course. This is one where you have a person go through and they subscribe because they're getting essentially like a mini course taught to them how to do something. And it might take 2 emails over the course of 2 days, or maybe it's a 7-day email course. This is really nice because it's very simple to create. You don't need to create anything other than emails to deliver that. A sample chapter. If you have a book, a sample chapter is so easy to offer because A, you already have it, and B, it is of value because it's a part of something that is actually sold. Like people can go and see the book on Amazon or wherever else you have it. A sample chapter is great, and plus this allows for more sales to your book. 7, any templates or worksheets. You might be in a space where, let's say you're in the personal finance space. Great. Here's my budget worksheet that I've created for myself and for you. You can download it and get access to it for free, but you got to put your name and email, and boom, they get it immediately offered to them right there. Worksheets are fantastic because it helps organize a messy how-to. And this is a great thing to offer. And then 8, any hidden bonus content. Let's say you have a podcast and you have additional interviews that are maybe only hidden for those who subscribe to your email list. Or perhaps you do a video and you had to cut it short, but there's an extended version of that a person can get. Bonus content like that can be a really great way. So this is a screenshot moment if you want to take a listen to this. And what I would do is I'd circle the one, just the one that you know would best insert itself into what it is that you have to offer. Cool? Cool. I'm also going to escape really quick because I want to really make sure that I am recording this. Okay, I am recording it. Just I had a little heart attack moment. Sometimes that happens, and I'm like, please let this be recording. Okay, cool. We are recording. So here's that list. There we go. Working on a quick start guide. Yeah, quick start guides are great because people want to get through, again, something much faster, and you can help them do that. And then it's about the follow-up. Okay, after you give them that result, what's the next step? How might they go on to the next part? Or what else do you have to offer that relates to that? And you can go from there, right? Now let's talk about the advanced strategy. Those were beginner strategies, right? Just one simple strategy. Let's create a lead magnet. Please not make it very long, and make it something that can help a person on the other end, right? Just like the lead magnet I created for you leading up to this, which was 10 quick email templates that you can use. Here's a more advanced one. And again, this is advanced because it takes a little bit more coordination, a little bit more planning, but it can definitely fast forward a lot of growth. And this is a challenge. By creating a challenge, you can get people to sign up for something because it happens either on a specific day or there's a even more specific result. And I mean, it has to be specific and it has to be achievable. Right? This is our 100 emails challenge. This is what we use to often grow our email list and then promote our course, Email Marketing Magic, which you'll hear about a little bit later. And as you can see here, it's pitched as a 72-hour email list building challenge. What does it do? It helps you go from 0 emails to 100 emails in 3 days. Michelle's asking, which lead magnet seems to work best? Well, honestly, they all work. And they all work for different reasons. Some are more emotional, some are more logical, some are challenge-driven like this one, some are because a person just needs a solution right now and wants to download that one-page PDF. So they all work, and they all should be used because that is of massive value to offer all kinds of different ways to get people to come in. But start with the one first. But if you're a little bit more advanced, planning for a day in the future to offer this challenge that on May 5th of 2022, this challenge happens. You let people know about it ahead of time. They get in the email list because they want to get that first email of the challenge on that day, May 5th. And then boom, the next email comes out the next day. The next email comes out the next day. And the challenge is over. And here's what happens. The challenge brings more people with them. So people will often, especially if it's like a, you've probably seen things like this before, a weight loss challenge or a no sugar for 7 days challenge, a green smoothies challenge. Those are like health-based ones. There is a no spending challenge. There's a get rid of things, purging challenge for those who are home organizers. These are great because people literally feel the result and the transformation after it's over. And not only that, they go, wow, what else do you have? And this is where an offer could come about. This is where you can have a program come out or what have you, or an affiliate offer to something that relates to the next steps, because that's what we do here. And this works really, really well. Free training challenge had a broken link when I tried it. Thanks for letting me know. It might have gone through something when we migrated servers or something like that. Is there a specific number of days that work best? I created a 6-day challenge, and on the 7th day, I explained how the info from the previous 6 days work together. That could work. The shorter, the better, though, right? In many cases, you're going to, a lose 10 pounds in 2 hours challenge would obviously be an extreme and not healthy and probably not real. So you want to be real, you want to be authentic, but you also want to make it a challenge and have it the first time you do this, happen on a specific date, because that's what gets people excited. That's like you're like everybody's rallying. You can create a Facebook group or a circle group in order to kind of bring everybody together and share wins and share results, and it becomes really fun. After you do this for the first time, guess what? You can automate it just like we have now. If you go to 100emails.com, you'll see this there. And the other thing about this is you have to sell it, right? Show people getting results. Here are results of people who've gone through that challenge. Just passed 100, better late than never. Finally got 101 students, just passed 100 today, 115, right? Which is really cool. And the other thing about this is, even though some people will not get that specific number or that thing that you were shooting for, the fact that you've helped them got started is huge too, right? And the fact that this is wrapped around a challenge, that there's 3 days to do it, that there's some, yes, motivation that comes along with it, but very specific steps. They're going to see that they were able to take steps that they hadn't taken in years because of this challenge that you created, and it takes them to the next step. And oftentimes they ask, okay, where do I go from here? Are these emails with videos in the emails? For this particular challenge, no, absolutely not. In fact, it is literally like, day 1, welcome, here's the goal, do these 5 things. Day 2, all right, here's the goal, here are 3 things to do today, and a link to a spreadsheet to put all those things in, or something like that, right? You can structure it however you want. I would use like a whiteboard or Post-it notes. But again, make it very simple, make it achievable. And the more that you can have bigger results with less time, the better. But that's a great question, Michelle. Thank you. Now let's talk about using your list, right? We talked about getting people into your list. We talked about lead magnets that were quick 1 to 3 page PDF files, or quick videos, or something like a bonus chapter in your book, or whatnot. We talked about a more advanced strategy like a challenge. I would highly recommend creating a challenge in the next couple months to get and mobilize your audience. It could be really great. Now let's do using your list. Jen says, this is where I fall off. Let me know in the chat if you have an email list and you don't feel like you're really even using it, right? You've collected your subscribers, but you don't really know what to do with it or how to utilize it. And it's just kind of feeling like, okay, well, I got part 1, but part 2's not here, and it feels like a waste. That would be me. Me, says Enseal. Yep. La Diana. Yep. Me, says Robert. Bobby T. What's up? Yep. Okay, cool. Well, let's use your list. And again, let's start from the beginner level. So this is probably the simplest thing you can do that has the biggest impact. And that is to use your email list not to broadcast, but as I like to say, broad ask. That's right. Broadcast? No. Broadcast? Cast? That sounds like casket. No. Broad ask. And what I mean by broad ask is, especially with your, that didn't go like I thought it was going to, sorry. The purpose of this is to understand, okay, well, who's on your list and what are they dealing with? What are their challenges? What are their struggles? So as soon as you incentivize people to come in, and you don't have to do this like from scratch. If you have an email list right now, you can literally send the thing I'm about to share with you to your email list to do some reconnaissance and understand more about who they are. Here's this question. Use this question. What's your number 1 challenge related to blank? Right? Insert this into your autoresponder. An autoresponder, for those of you who don't know, is an email that you could write ahead of time that you can say, I want this email that I wrote just now to go out 1 day after a person subscribes. Whenever they subscribe, whether they subscribe today or next week or next year, I want this email to go out 1 day after that. And you can have that. And this is really cool because what is this actually doing for you? This is helping you understand what the struggles are of your target audience. And not only will they tell you, but they're going to tell you in the language that they will respond to, right? This is a massive, massive thing that changed everything in our business when we started using this, because now we are for sure understanding what our audience is going through, not guessing. We're not assuming. We're actually hearing in more detail what the struggles are. There were some things that were very surprising that we understood, and there were some things that were confirmed that we now have language that we could bounce back to people just like them. And when you use the same language as your target audience that they respond to, aka the language that they're using, right? They're going to respond to you even better. They're going to go, wow, you get me. You understand what I'm going through. Yes, only because I've asked people like you, what are you dealing with? Jen asks, what percentage of people will actually respond? Not very many. I mean, it's not going to be like 100%, not even going to be 50%. But you know what? It just takes a few emails to represent the major whole to understand exactly what your target audience is going through. And this is really, really important because now this will give you direction. It'll give you an understanding of who's there. And for those who do reply, I would highly recommend taking it one step further. Reply back. See if you can even get on a Zoom call with them. This might be the most helpful thing that you could ever do in your business. It's also something that we as people working online behind a screen with a keyboard in front of us feel as very scary. Oh, you want me to have a real life conversation with people? Right? And Layla says, and you're getting responses from those who are most engaged. That is for sure. That is absolutely for sure. What I would try to do, Gabriel's asking about KPIs. I would see if you can get on at least 2 to 3 calls or Zoom calls every single month with new email subscribers. I do this 10 times a month, by the way, and have continued to do this. I've done this for over a decade. It has been literally the number one most helpful thing that I've ever done in my business. Continue to this day with new email subscribers. And I continue to do this because times change and people's struggles change, people's challenges change, right? Now it's not about blogging like it once used to be. It's about video, it's about podcasting, it's about building communities. And now we're understanding this, and this is why exactly we're leaning more toward building communities, and we have spipro.com now to serve those who are entrepreneurs in our space because we have heard exactly from them. We're not guessing. And if you can remove the guesswork in your business, it's just going to save you so much time and money. Like, let me say that one more time. If you could remove the guesswork in your business, you're going to save time and money, right? So Manoj is asking, best free autoresponder is live in world. I mean, there's a lot of different autoresponders that you could, or companies that you could use for email service providers. Many of you know I'm an advisor for ConvertKit, so just take that in mind. But I do recommend them. They do have a free plan, and you can do a lot of this stuff with their free plan and upgrade later. So have you had anyone reject your request for a Zoom call? Oh, yeah, absolutely. 100%. They say, oh, no, I'm not comfortable, or no, not right now, or that's not anything I want to do. And that's totally fine. That's totally fine. And then I just follow up with, okay, well, if you could tell me in a reply, like, why is that such a challenge for you? Or what have you tried to do to solve that problem before? Like, this is where you can get into sort of your detective mode to understand more about what this person's going through. I mean, it's no pitch. It's just discovery. That's really what this is about, right? Jen says, I'd take your call, Pat. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. How do you lead the conversation on a Zoom call? Be very curious. That's the best advice I could offer you, Natasha. Be very curious. Try to understand what they're going through and see what else they perhaps have tried to get out of that. And here's one thing that will happen. You're going to find, I mean, not everybody will be very open. Not everybody will want to have a call, but there will be one person who's going to be so open with you. They're going to tell you their life story. You know what's going to happen after that? You're going to imagine this person every time you create a piece of content. You're going to imagine this person when you create a course. You're going to perhaps even reach back out to them and say, hey, I created something. I'd love for you to take a look at it. These few people can have the biggest and most dramatic effect on the most people who you will reach. It's really amazing what will happen. What was that autoresponder? ConvertKit. So smartpassiveincome.com/ConvertKit if you want to check it out through my affiliate link. So that's that. Do you see how we just stayed on the screen the whole time? That's just the one question. And then take it naturally from there and be curious, right? Carolina says, how long are email lists valuable for? I mean, I know people who created lists a couple months ago, and they're probably not valuable because they haven't followed up. And I know people who have created email lists from over a decade ago, and they're the most valuable thing in the world for them because they continue to understand who their audience is and what they're going through, and also to promote their courses with. Okay, now we're going to get into something pretty advanced. I want you to imagine that you promoted something to your email list. This is a course or a coaching program or a membership or whatever it might be. Whether you have that available already or not doesn't matter. You're going to need to use your email list to follow up with your email list after the announcement of this thing. Maybe you announce it on a webinar. Maybe you just announce it on email. It doesn't really matter. You need to use your email to follow up and help convince those people on the other end that this is the right program for them, right? So here is a 5-day. You can massage this and make it 3. You can make it 7, but 5 days is my sweet spot that I found. 3 days sometimes works really well. 7 and above usually are drawn out too long, especially after you make an offer. It's like, okay, I've been hearing about this for a whole week. And the idea of this is you're promoting something with a close date where doors close, a bonus goes away, or a price goes up, or something, right? Really important when you're just starting out to have some sort of scarcity or urgency, or as they say, scourgency involved, so that it forces a decision. And that's the right thing to do. If you weren't able to help people make a decision, they're always going to be stuck in, well, I don't know moment, and you're not helping them. Whether it's yes or no, you want them to make a decision, and that's really important. And these emails here will help a person understand which decision to make. So here is a 5-day launch email campaign. You have your launch email, right? In your launch email, you want to describe, well, what is this exactly? You want to be as clear as a clear day on what this is. Any sort of confusion on what it is that you just released, then it's going to confuse and people will not even be open to hearing more about it if they just don't know what it is. So you need to talk about what is this exactly. This is a online course to help you launch your podcast and get found so that you can get more exposure in your business and you can make more sales with the use of a podcast. You want to get that specific. That's like the call to action or specificity for my course, Power Up Podcasting. What's in it for them, right? This is an online course to help you start a podcast. I could just leave it at that. But what is in it as far as starting a podcast, not what's in the course? Many people make this mistake of, here's what you get already, and now I'm overwhelmed because you haven't even told me, okay, once I learn all this stuff, what am I actually going to get on the other end? Similar to emails, how people don't wake up and they want emails. No, is with an online course or a program or coaching. People don't want that. They want the result on the other end. So keep that in mind. And then a call to action. Every email should have a CTA or call to action to go do the thing. And in this case, it is to go and purchase the course. Day 2. How do I know this is real? That's what people are asking themselves. They're like, okay, you've positioned this well. It sounds great, but how do I know that this is real? This is where you want to include some proof. And proof can come in many different forms. It can come in the proof of statistics. If there are some articles and other things out there, 30% of people who start a podcast increase their income by over 25% in the first year or something. I'm just making that up, but it's actually, I think, a little higher. If you have a business and you are able to connect with your audience, it is going to be higher. But you can go into the stats. I wouldn't go too heavy on that because this is where you really want to get into a story of some kind. So again, you launch the thing on day 1. The next email that comes out the next day, you want to be more into the emotion and bring some story into this. So in this case, if it was a podcast situation, I would tell the story of one of my students, for example, who did take the course and how they were apprehensive to take it. Perhaps they also struggled with technology. They were very afraid to do so. But then I take them through the before and then the after. Here's what happened on the other end. And here is exactly what they learned in the course and why that helped them so much. And so when you bring a real life person, and this is more than a testimonial, Jane said that she would recommend this to everybody. Those are, you see those everywhere. But Jane was afraid of technology. She's a mother of 2. She had very little time to start her podcast, but through Power Up Podcasting, she started her show. Here's the name of her show. Here's how many downloads she has. Here's a little chart. Boom. It's like, wow, I want to be like Jane. Where did she learn to do that? Oh, of course, Power Up Podcasting with Pat Flynn, right? Et cetera, et cetera. So tell that story. This is a perfect time to do this because it makes this thing that you're talking about real, right? With a real case study in it. Day 3. This is a very important email. This is one where you call people out on their objections. Anything that you know is holding them back from potentially getting in this course, you want to talk about. So in the case of podcasting, for example, in the day 3 email, I talk about people not liking the sound of their own voice. Like you might not want to start a podcast because you hate the sound of your own voice. And then I have to have a counter to that, literally in a list or paragraphs, right? Call out each of these objections. Another objection is, well, the niche that I want to podcast in is very small. I support that with a story. Or the case of Phil Lichenberger, who is a student of mine again, who started a podcast in a very small space and is like literally has fans now as a result of this. So great. You're actually more able to reach an audience because your niche is small. You're going to be fighting through less competition, right? You see how I'm taking that objection and I'm flipping it on its head? Lois says, what do you do for a story if it's a beta launch? Which is a great question because if it's a beta launch, then you don't necessarily have a story to share. Well, if that's the case, then you tell your own story and transformation about the technique and what you did or what you've learned and how you've packaged that into this course, or you find a person and get them a result, whether it's through that course and they go through it early or not, or maybe you literally have coached somebody through the same process. tell that story, right? Cool. And day 3, call them out on objections. Another objection in the podcasting space is, the technology is too tough for me. I'm bad at technology. Well, the course is built in a way for you to do the minimal amount of things in order to get a podcast up. Here's Dr. B, who's over 60, who literally said she's scared of technology, who now has a podcast helping people with ADHD in over 87 countries around the world, right? Take the objection, have a rebuttal. Now a person can't make up a reason in their head to not get involved, right? This is a very, very important email. This is a part of a sales page that should be there. Take those objections and flip them, right? Even for this course, the course I'm going to tell you a little bit later, Email Marketing Magic. A lot of people go, "Oh, I don't want my audience to unsubscribe and I don't want to be too aggressive as a salesman," right? But the way that I teach email is learn about who your target audience is so that when you send an email, they'll actually thank you for it. They'll actually look forward to it. So you see how I took that objection and again flipped it because of what's in the course? Now it's like, how do you do that? Okay, I'll get in kind of thing, right? A little meta because I'm teaching email and I just gave you an example from my email course. Anyway, so that's day 3. Call them out on their objections and be sure to include a call to action in every one of these emails. I don't have it marked here, but you should. Day 4, why do they need to act now? So you've introduced what this is. They now know it's real. There's a story behind it. They now are understanding why all those doubts that they had in their head were wrong. But a person can still go, well, I'll get it next week. I'll get it later when the time is right. You need to convince them here on day 4 why the time is now. And you can do this in a couple ways. You can amplify the problem. You can say things like, every day podcasts are coming up. And every day that you wait to start a podcast is a day that an audience member of yours is going to somebody else to become their host. And your audience is waiting for you right now. If you don't start your podcast now, your blog and your content there is just going to get buried because you need a voice to go with it, right? That's how you could position. That's how you can amplify the problem, right? Now, you got to be careful here because you don't want to fear monger. You don't want to be like, hey, you got to lose weight or else you're going to die. Don't do that. That's just wrong, and you don't want to play that game in marketing where you are capitalizing on people's fears. But you do need to amplify the problem so that you can make sure that they understand the consequence of waiting on this, right? Or reiterate the scarcity. Tomorrow's the last day to get the program before the price goes up. The bonus that's included in this as well goes away. No worries, Kathy, all good. Subject lines, yeah, we have a whole section in the course on subject lines. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But I have an example for you coming up. So amplify the problem, reiterate the scarcity. What is going away? And again, why should we make a decision now? Force that decision. Whether it's a yes or no, you just want no regrets. You don't want people hanging on the fence, right? Now, this is where it gets a little fun and also scary for some of you who are like, this is a lot of email. On day 5, we're going to send an email in the morning. Very short email. Hey, today's the last day. It's your last chance. And maybe some FAQ, frequently asked questions, answered here in this email as well. And again, you've probably written these ahead of time, which is okay, which is why you're not writing all these on one day. This is the beauty of writing these broadcasts ahead of time and scheduling them. But just a super last chance one. This one converts really well because people wake up and they go, okay, I got to make a decision now. I'll make a decision now. Here is a special one that I'm going to dive into in the next slide here, but this is a day 5 email, the last day of the sale at noon. And this is, I recorded this video just for you. There's a video? Look at that subject line. If you got that in your inbox, you'd probably see that and go, oh, you recorded that just for me? I'll tell you what's in that email in just a moment, but that's going to be a very important email. I'm opening that email, says Layla. And day 5, 6 hours left, final call, literally 2 sentences. Final call, we only got 6 hours left till the sale ends, and I just don't want you to miss out. Thank you again. If it's not the right time for you, no worries, but get in now. Here's the link. Well, what happens in that noon email? The cool thing about this as well is inside of Email Marketing Magic, I literally give you these emails, and the subject lines here are different examples. Anyway, let me get into the day 5 noon email. I recorded this video just for you. This is a unlisted YouTube video that is directed toward every person who you know this is right for that has not taken action yet. So some of you might be like, well, you didn't record it for that specific person. I mean, it would take me days to record one individual video for every single person. So the truth is, you know what people are thinking here. You know that this is for them, and you likely can address some of the bigger objections that they have and give them one personalized, semi-personalized, if you will, call to action to join. This does a couple things. Number one, it reiterates those objections that people might be thinking, and the fact that you are there on camera voicing them and then calling them out on it. Not in an aggressive way. Just be like, hey, you know, I know you're probably scared of technology, and that's a big reason why people don't get into Power Up podcasting, but I promise you, the course will only show you what you need to know and not anything else. And it's actually going to be really easy for you to set up, right? So again, addressing those things up front. People love to know who they're learning from or who they're getting coached from or who has owned the program. So there's a real life human being there. And this video is raw. It's not edited. It's not like, just make this easy, right? If this was done in a studio, right, with fancy cameras and lighting, you know what? It would feel disingenuous. You want this to be a genuine, right? A genuine, just on the phone, right? Rough, just you're walking down the street, or literally, actually, I did one while in a car once because my daughter was at hula practice. She dances hula, like Hawaiian hula. And I did it in the car, and I just had like, my son was in the back, and the steering wheel was in the foreground, and it was just like a real life, hey, I know that you're here and interested, or else you wouldn't be watching this, but I just needed to talk to you really quick. And as Kathy here says, unscripted just feels more real. Jen says, too slick is too slick. Right, exactly. But what's really slick is this email converts. This email converts. It's just an unlisted YouTube video in the email itself. It's just, hey, I recorded this for you. I know you might be thinking about getting Power Up Podcasting, and I just have a few things I want to say. And here's a link to the video. It's just unlisted so that the public doesn't see it, right? Make it personable. Say you, not you guys. That's a very important distinction, right? That is often overlooked. It would be very easy for you to catch yourself saying, hey, everybody, I hope you're having a great day. I just want to talk to you a little bit because the sale's closing and I wanted to make sure you got in. No, that's already one level of disconnect from the person watching. It's just one-on-one. They're not in a group watching you. They're watching you on their own, on their phone likely, or at their home. Whatever the case may be, use the word you. Did you record it on an iPhone? Yes. I mean, whatever you have available. You can record it on your webcam and it can look all grainy. It doesn't matter, right? Carpagem says, I just joined another expensive program because I got a personal video on email. So case in point, it worked on him. Make it short, 2 minutes or less, and unlisted, hosted on YouTube. Are we all clear on that email? Because it's very powerful, and I cannot take credit for it. Ramit Sethi, he created that email for me, and I got into his program, and I asked him about it, and he says one of his highest converting emails, and it worked really, really well, and I want to just give that to you here too. So we all feeling good about that? Any way to turn off the chat's pop-up messages, please? They're distracting me from your presentation. The chat's pop-up messages. I mean, you can close the chat if you want. I don't know if the sound is creating something. Unlisted means it's not public. So when you submit a video on YouTube, you can have it be a public video, a private video, which I wouldn't do because people will need a password to get in or see it. But the unlisted one means just anybody who has that link will see it. Could you please show the slide with all 5 days? Yes. Can it go directly from iPhone recording to an email? YouTube is just great because it hosts it, right? I mean, you could go directly to email, but then the email is going to be so many megabytes. People don't like to see huge attachments. It's oftentimes going to put it right into spam. So that's something just to keep in mind. The pop-up will stop if you exit full screen and open chat to the right of the demo screen, says Beth. Thank you so much for that. All right, so you can copy paste that real quick or screenshot it. Great. All right, let's move on to the final portion here, which is a framework on how to get better at everything. This is going to help you understand how once your email list begins to grow a little bit bigger, how you are able to manage and organize not just the email list, but your communication with your email list, right? Or you can mute the chat using the notification bell. Ah, that's good. I didn't know you could do that. Cool. Thanks, Natasha. Okay, so quick story. I was at a macaroni grill. This is actually at an airport, and I asked a stranger to take this picture because it is significant, and he was looking at me weird. Anyway, I used to work at a Romano's Macaroni Grill. This is a restaurant, and it serves really good Italian food. Let me know if, I am using the same shirt. Dana. Wow. Okay. Good catch. That's funny. Okay. So Romano's Macaroni Grill, I remember this was one of my first jobs out of college, actually. And the cool thing is, I remember very vividly some specific things that they taught us in training. It was actually a quite intense training to be a waiter. It was like 2 weeks, and we had a script that we had to learn how to write our name upside down in crayon because there's paper on the tables. But I remember very specifically, they said, you must say this script every time somebody comes in. And it was a script about Mama Romano and how she left family and welcome to the family and blah, 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 that kind of thing, right? But once I started working there, and it was probably about 1 or 2 weeks in, I noticed that there were people who were regulars who started coming in. I started recognizing faces because I worked there 5 days a week. And I remember very, very clearly there was one person who I remembered came in, and in my head there was a decision I had to make. Do I go over the script even though I know they came in, or do I just kind of welcome them back? Even though I was taught very, very specifically to always say that script every single time. And so I went with what I was taught. I went with the script. And mid-sentence, this guy says, hey, yeah, I've been here before. Just kind of, can you give me a menu? I want to sit down. And I don't know if he was irritated or something, but I started to put myself in his shoes, and I was like, yeah, he's heard this before. I remember him. I should have gone with just welcoming him in and seating him down. So it was at that point forward that I remembered that, I had to really recognize that there were different kinds of people who came into the restaurant, and people who have been there before should get a different version than people who have never been there before, right? Welcome back, exactly. And I knew to practice this, IFTTT. Let me know if you know what this acronym stands for. It's not a word, because if you try to say it, it sounds like a fart. Anyway. It stands for if this, then that, exactly. And so I started to practice this. If this, then that. If a person's come in before, then I'm going to welcome them back and see if they enjoyed their last meal that they had before and if they wanted it again, or if they wanted to try something new, for example. Here was the best one. The best one was if a family came in with young kids, then I would know what to do. And here's what I did. On every table, there were 2 crayons, a red crayon and a blue crayon. But if there were more than 2 kids, guess what would happen? They would all fight over the crayons. Or even if there was 2 kids, one would want the blue one and the other one would get the red one, and they would fight over it. So I would have extra crayons in my pocket, red and blue, so that if a family came in, I could come to the rescue and say, hey, I know how it is. Here's a couple additional crayons for you. So that each kid had the same one. And I'll tell you, those were the biggest tips I got, because now that I'm a parent, and my kids are a little bit older now, 12 and 10, but as I was, I remember what they were like when they were toddlers. Going to a restaurant, the whole goal of parenting and you're going to a restaurant is just to not have a tantrum. I just want my meal. And so I came into the rescue with crayons. So if this, then that. We need to do this with our email list too. I made the mistake, though, for 7 years to treat everyone the same. Everybody who came onto my email list, I sent all the exact same emails. And yeah, it worked okay. I mean, I had 130,000 people on our email list, and I was getting a 20% open rate and a 3.5% click-through rate. Yes, John. But unfortunately, there were a lot of people who were getting emails that didn't matter. I mean, think about it. If I created a advanced search engine optimization article, and I linked to it in an email, and I said, hey, everybody, here's a really cool article that we wrote to help you rank number 1 in Google. Search engine optimization is really important. Here are some terms you need to know. The people who have yet to start a business, what are they thinking? They're on the same email list. They're thinking, this is way too advanced for me. And the vice versa is true. When I come out with, hey, here's how you can start a WordPress website, and here are the top themes that you can choose for your brand new website, a person who already has a website, guess what? They're out. Oh, I've outgrown Pat Flynn already, right? So this is really important to know. How do we break our email list into different groups? And so that's what we did. I broke the groups into 3 different groups, and here are the numbers. I've increased this open rate from 20% to 65%. And the click-through rates are now not 2 out of every 100 people are clicking, but 8 out of every people are clicking. And that is a massive, with the same amount of emails sent. I didn't send more emails. I'm getting way more, 4 times more bang for my buck as a result of simply segmenting the people who are on my list and understanding that not everybody is the same. And now the email list has grown to over 200,000, and this is really important. The idea of dividing a market up into homogeneous segments and targeting each with a distinct product and or message is now at the heart of marketing theory. So Nina, you're setting me up properly because you're asking, how do you segment? Well, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you that. So again, the big idea here, don't treat all your leads the same. So let's go step by step. You all want to learn how to do this? Because you might be ready for this now, or if you are just starting out, this is something to build too. Linnell says very much. Okay, cool. Step 1. What's the biggest challenge you've relayed to blank? Where have we seen this before? This was the beginner strategy that I talked about earlier, right? Ask this question. And again, to always give credit to where credit is due, this question comes from a book. There's also Young Pat with No Beard. Ask from Ryan Levesque. This directly comes out of this. This changed the entire course of our business when we ask this question. So we asked this question to our audience. We asked them, what's the number one biggest challenge you have related to blank? And this was after we had an email list already, by the way. But if you do this up front, even better. What's the number one biggest challenge you have related to online business? We saw there were a bunch of replies in their own voices like this. I'm overwhelmed from all the information available to me. I don't know where to start. I'm afraid of wasting my time and money. I'm not sure what kind of business I want to create. The fear of failure is stopping me. Okay. So these were all people who were just starting out. So we put them into bucket number 1. And we used a tool called ConvertKit, and most email service providers do this now too, to be able to tag those people. How do we tag them? I'll show you in just a minute. These people in bucket 1, no online business, they have the itch to get started. They read and listen to a lot of content, right? We also collected data like, how many blogs you subscribe to, how many podcasts you. These people are just absorbing so much. So we knew there was an opportunity. If we could become the ones that give them results, they'd probably come and continue to come back. So that's bucket number 1. Here is bucket number 2. This group of responses. I'm fearful. I'm just wasting my time. I'm not seeing the results I expected. I'm trying to do too many things at the same time. I don't know what my next steps should be. What's the number one biggest challenge related to online business is bucket 2. They have an online business. They have syndrome, which means they try to take care of everything themselves, right? They try to take care of everything themselves. Layla says, how did you get my journal, right? That's the response you want. When you can have a person go, like, you are in my head, that's the best, literally the best kind of response you can get. Because then once you have them thinking that, they will also believe you have the solution, right? And then bucket number 3 was everybody else, right? The people who already had a successful business, then just had scalability issues. So let's go into how do we get these people to put themselves into these buckets. So there's a couple ways to do this. Number 1, like I call it, self-segmentation. Let's say you already have an email list. And even if you don't, you can still do this right from the start. You get people onto the main list, and then you have them click to self-segment based on those differences. So here's the example. I had a main list. I sent an email out, and in that email, there are 3 options to click on, literally, asking the audience, which one of these things are you? And when they click on this, they go to a landing page, a separate page on my website that's built specifically for them. It has language that's specific to them, and it also has resources specific to them. Nothing to sell quite yet, but here are the podcast episodes that relate to you since you're in bucket 1. Here are the resources. Here are the top tools and podcasts, etc. So here's what that email looks like. And you don't have to read the whole thing. I do set it up. I basically say, hey, I need your help because I only want to send you emails that make sense to you. So which of the following best describes your online business activity? Click on the one that best describes you. 1, I don't have a business yet. 2, I have an online business, but I'm stuck between this. 3, I have an online business and it's generating more than $500 per month. So again, ConvertKit, I can create a rule. If they click on that number 1 link, tag them as, in our system, bucket number 1. So now in the future, if I am going to send an email that is only for beginners, I can say, hey, only send to bucket number 1. Only send to bucket number 2. Or hey, these are relevant to everybody except those who don't have a business. Send this email to everybody minus bucket number 1. Now I can do some really cool things with that. And by the way, if you want the exact email copy that I use, go to this link, smartpassiveincome.com/bucket copy, right? smartpassiveincome.com/bucket copy. You can get that exact email copy that I use so you can reframe it for yourself. Cool. I'm going to keep that up there for 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Radia says, how many questions is wise to ask before it becomes too much for them to answer? I would say 3 max. You want no more than 3 buckets. Any more than that, not only will it be a problem for people to self-segment, it's going to be a problem for you to organize. It's going to be this huge web of things. If they don't answer in the first email that gets sent out another one and reframe it a little bit differently. Tell them a little story or continue to keep asking until they put themselves in these buckets, because those are going to be your warmest people. But not only that, you're going to know them better than almost they know themselves. Cool. Delivering unique content. Now with each of these, cool. So bucket 1, let's say you click on bucket number 1, which is, again, people who have yet to start an online business, in my case. Here is the first email they get after they segment, right? The next email they get that I say send one day after. Look at this. The email subject says, future entrepreneurs, read this. I'm speaking their language. Hey, it's Pat here. Question, do any of the following statements reflect where you are right now with your desire to create an online passive income business? So I have it in the subject line related to who they are. If it was somebody on the more advanced part, I would say, trouble scaling, open this email. Let's look at this email. What am I doing here? I'm reconfirming that they are in the right spot, right? Literal bullet points that regurgitate things that you've probably seen before. I'm overwhelmed for all the information, right? Hey, do any of these statements reflect where you're at right now? I'm overwhelmed. The fear of failure is stopping me. I don't know where to start. I don't know what kind of business I want to create. I'm afraid of wasting my time. Where do these come from? Literally from the audience. Remove the guesswork. No more assumptions. And as a result of this, look at the responses. I feel like you're in my head. I'm thinking every single one of those things. Wow, all the statements describe how I feel. I've never met someone who has so vividly described me when it comes to starting an online business like you've just done. There's nothing fancy happening here. I'm literally using email to get language that I can then use in my email so that people will go, oh my gosh, Pat, you know exactly what I'm going through. Tell me where to go. Tell me what to do. Right? I even use this in more formal places. Here's a book that I published called Will It Fly? Here is the subject line, or the tagline. How to test your next business idea so you don't waste your time and money. Where'd I get that from? Same thing. The tagline came from my audience. No guessing. None. Rada says, but what do you do when you're just starting out? How do you collect that language? You ask that single question. What's the number one challenge you're having related to blank? You should know what that blank is. If you don't know what niche you're in, that's the first thing. You need to know what niche you're in so that you can find those people, get them on your email list through a lead magnet like we talked about in the beginner segment, and then you can ask that question, right? There you go. So I asked a lot of people recently, what is the number one thing you need help in business right now? And funnily enough, here were some of the answers. I need help with email marketing, grow my list, getting my email list where it should be. I want to know how to sell to people on my list. I just want my emails to work like everybody else does. Actually, tell me in the chat, what was the most helpful thing you've learned today? There were a lot of things we covered. We uncovered how to grow your email list, beginner, advanced. Remember the challenge and the lead magnets. We talked about how to use your list, that very first question, right? The very first question, what's the number one challenge you have related to blank? And then the advanced thing, the 5-day email sequence to use when to sell something. And then, of course, the framework, right? So segmenting, 5-day, language, buckets for sure. And again, if you're just starting out, those buckets can be a little intimidating. Just get the language first. Get the language and understand who is in your target audience. Buckets, holy buckets, tools that you can make it happen. I'm excited to learn about the number one challenge. Nice. Oh, Maureen, that's so glorious, because once you discover that, it's like, why create content, products, courses on anything else? That's the problem that they have. Or at least, even if it's a little problem, how might you solve it with a lead magnet that gets more people to come in, right? So a lot of you sharing a lot of things that we learned today, which is really great. I wanted to ask your permission. I mentioned this earlier, but I do have an email marketing course that some of you may be interested in. It might be perfect for you right now. May I have your permission to just share a little bit about it? There's a special deal going on that we have that's open till Thursday. Just want to let you know. Lori, Fred, Daniel, awesome. But of course, it's Kathy. Great, thank you. So email marketing can be very intimidating. Hopefully you've gotten a taste and actually some things you can pull away that you could use right now for you. But it is a big thing. But like I said, try to make things a little bit easier. Email Marketing Magic is our course. It's been out for 3 years. It's helped thousands of people simplify, but also get better results with their email. And it's meant to help you, A, grow your list, B, make more money with your list through email templates and all those kinds of things. But even more importantly, C, how do you automate this, right? How do you get it set up so it's just working for you? And it's now available with a limited deal, and enrollment ends Thursday, March 10th. So just a few days to get access to this. I'm not giving you much time to make a decision because I need you to get in there so that you can actually start implementing. And this is where you'd want to go. smartpassiveincome.com/EMM. Again, that's smartpassiveincome.com/EMM for that special deal. It already includes the $100 off, as well as a special bonus, which I'll tell you about in a minute. But when you get in here, I want you to take careful attention on the left-hand side. Look how long these videos are. 5 minutes, 1 minute, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 7 minutes, 6 minutes, 12, 5, 4. These are bite-sized chunks so you can actually start chipping away at this thing. And the first module is just setting up, making sure that you have a foundation for things, getting your email service provider set up and a lead magnet. And then we get into sort of the more, juicy bits and as far as creation to help you, A, start with growing your list, and then B, utilizing that list to actually generate some income. And many people have said this has been a life-changing course for them, which is exciting. Here on the Welcome Watch This First lesson, I have people commit to this process, and you can see some people who've already taken this course before you who said, I'm committed to making email marketing profitable and automatic. And that's like the first call to action, the pledge, and the commitment from you that I need once you are in here, which is cool. Brendan says, that guy looks a lot younger. I hope he knows as much. Hey, he knew what he was doing back then. This is from Raquel, who is one of our course students. And what's really cool is this is my favorite testimonial of all time. Pat's courses are worth every penny. And actually, now that I think about it, they're the only courses that I've actually finished to completion, which I love. And this is the regular price of the course. It's $499, one-time payment. But from now until Thursday, we're marking off $100, and you can get it in at $399. All access, lifetime pass, plus the goodies that I'm about to share with you right now at smartpassiveincome.com/EMM. Here's what you get. You get the course, which is an online course, self-paced. You get access to all of it up front, but I do guide you through it. I don't recommend going through the whole thing in one day, but you can make your way through it. And like I said, bite-sized videos as you chip away at it, and you get it all up front. And you also get access to weekly office hours. These are 2 hours every single week that you get access. Many of you here have been on those office hours before. You can talk about them at some of our best times because you can get those little questions that you have answered right away and then move on to the next part, as opposed to just kind of like being left to your own devices. I am still going to continue to be there to help you and hold you accountable as we go every single week. You also get access to the SPI Academy. This is where you can get access to other students who are taking the course with you, both alumni and people who are coming in this enrollment period too. And you can find groups to mastermind with. You can support each other. You can share wins and inspire each other, etc. And my team is in there as well. And then finally, you get lifetime access. Thank you, Rada. I appreciate you. Lifetime updates to the course. No additional payments ever for Email Marketing Magic. So there you go. Kathy says, I love the Academy space. That's awesome. And you get this magic money back guarantee. That is, if by day 30, you find that there is any increase in your email list size, or you just aren't feeling it at all, you reach back out to me and my team. This is going to relieve the risk on your end. All the risk is on us. We trust that it's going to be good enough. But if it's not, you reach out, ask for your money back. No questions, right? No questions. In addition to that, you get a bonus workshop and auto enrollment. As soon as you sign up, you get this $99 workshop called Click and Convert. And this is about subject lines. Some of you were talking about that earlier. This whole workshop is about creating clickable titles for things like YouTube videos, your blog posts and podcast episodes, but also email titles and things like that. Is there a payment plan for 2 payments? I don't believe there's a payment plan for 2 payments on this particular offer because it is going to be $399, which is the lowest we've ever offered it. So, thank you, Honey Smith. I appreciate you. See you in office hours on Thursday, by the way. This will be included for free only during this promotion. And here it is, all up front. The deal expires Thursday, smartpassiveincome.com/EMM. And you get all that and more. And of course, I'm just here to help. So thank you so much. And here's some more testimonials from people too. So thank you all. It sounded like there were a lot of value. Let me know if you got value from today's presentation. And I'm excited to see what you do with it. And hopefully we see you in Email Marketing Magic as well, because this is by far one of the most important courses that we've created. We've created other courses. Some of them are more expensive. Some of them are cheaper. This one is probably the one that is the glue that puts all of them together, because email, whether you're podcasting or doing webinars or selling things, email is such an important and integral part of this. And as my friend Amy Porterfield says, the size and strength, not just the size, but the strength of your email list is directly proportional to your success as a business owner. Woo. Oh, it does. Oh, it does show. Yes. Oh, okay. My team added that in there. Okay, cool. Yeah, you could get it for 3 installments of $169, which is a little bit more if you want to go. I think it's like 10% additional cost as a result of the payment transactions and whatnot. So there is a payment plan. So $399 one time, or with a little savings on that, or $169 over there. So, woo. Awesome, chat. Well, hey, I want to let you go, but hopefully I can see you in office hours and in the course as well. I just want to say I appreciate you so much, and hopefully you enjoy this. And hopefully this gives you also, I know a lot of you also are selling things too, and many of you also might be afraid to sell things. One thing that clicked for me, this will be the final lesson, is that if you don't truly believe in what you are selling, you're going to have a very hard time selling that thing. And in many cases, you might doubt, or you might be worried about the sell. But the truth is, when you know you have something that is absolutely valuable, that can change somebody or transform them in some way or get rid of something inconvenient, then it is your obligation, it is your duty to go out there and be confident when you sell it. And this is why I have no issues whatsoever, even though this is a webinar. Yes, I did train, but there is a sale here, and I mentioned that up front. This is no clickbait situation going on, but I know that this is helpful. And this is why I'm confident in this. And if this is not the right time for you, that's fine too. I just want you to make a decision one way or another, yes or no. And by Thursday, hopefully we'll get that decision out of you, and I'll send you some emails and the replay and the slides and all that stuff as a follow-up. Probably send that to you later today, if not tomorrow. But you got to be confident in what you're selling. And the way you do that is help people get through those results. And once you get those results, I mean, it's just like, man, you kind of have a responsibility to do that now. And that's why I'm here. So hopefully this shows you that you can actually train and sell and serve, and everybody could be cool with it, because a lot of us are worried about the aggressive, like, hey, this is all fake, you're just trying to make money. Yes, I'm trying to make money, but we also know that if we don't put a price point onto this, nobody's going to do it. And so I think it's really important that you have that balance, right? So anyway, I'm done talking. I appreciate you. I'm going to go grab some lunch, and I want to wish you the best. So take care, peace out, and you'll see an email coming very soon. An email from me very soon. Take care, everybody. Thank you.